Satan pulled the trigger that killed your son, now masturbates to memory.
You just give me 40 years, sir. Yes. You just gave me 40 years. Well, guess what? Sir, what's this? Yeah,
This is Jaleel Smith Riley, who is facing charges for murder in Michigan. Smith Riley was involved in an armed robbery on November 16, 2013 in Norwood, where he and two other men approached a parked car. Inside the parked car was 20-year-old Portia Brooks and her boyfriend, Aaron Martin. Smith Riley knocked on the window with a handgun and forced Martin, who was in the passenger seat, out of the car. Jaleel then proceeded to go through Aaron's pockets and demanded his cash. Once Jaleel had taken every dollar Aaron had, he then took his life with a shot to the head, causing permanent brain damage. However, Jaleel wasn't done there. Right after shooting Aaron, he then leaned into the car and fired at Brooks, who was sitting in the car, twice, and she died 3 days later. Fortunately, Martin survived the shooting but sustained serious injury. Before the judge announced the sentence that Jaleel would be facing, Portia's family got the chance to address the jury and the man who took their daughter away from them. Sharon Brooks, Portia's mother, brought the box containing her daughter's ashes to the courtroom as she had for previous court dates. She stated that Smith Riley had ruined her life and killed her identity as a mother of 3. This is what I have left because of his greed, his selfishness, his complete disregard and disrespect of others and life. But as you can see, I get nothing back except the reality that she is gone. Tia Marie Brooks, Portia's sister, also spoke emotionally and requested that Smith Riley be handed the maximum sentence. I have to deal with life without Portia, so he should deal with life without parole. Then Aaron, who Jaleel shot in the head, spoke to the court. She's still here with us, and she will always be here. She's our angel looking over us, helping us get through these hard times. As if Smith Riley's crime was not outrageous enough, his reaction to his sentence was even more dramatic. During the trial on August 11, 2021, Smith Riley pleaded guilty to aggravated murder and attempted murder. However, he later decided to withdraw his guilty plea against the advice of his attorneys.
Well, from the beginning, this was an emotional day for the families of both of these victims, but when Smith Riley decided to reverse his plea halfway through the sentencing hearing, they were shocked, and his attorneys were too, in part because it puts the death penalty back on the...
Prior to receiving his sentence, Jaleel was heard apologizing in court as what appeared to be a last attempt at showing remorse. Additionally, Jaleel's attorney made a final attempt at saving face, and he knows that he can't go back in time and not do what he did, despite the tears and the apologies. Judge Charles Kubicki, presiding over the case in Hamilton County Common Pleas Court, denied Smith Riley's request and sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The 23-year-old monster that is currently rotting behind bars collapsed to the floor of the courtroom upon receiving his sentence. Smith Riley also received an additional sentence of 11 years for a related attempted murder charge. The story of T.J. Lane is one that shook the nation to its core. In February 2012, in Chardon, Ohio, a quiet town nestled in the heart of America, a horrific event unfolded that would leave scars on the community forever. T.J. Lane, a troubled teenager with a troubled past, walked into Chardon High School with a sinister intent that fateful day. On February 27, 2012, T.J. Lane entered Chardon High School armed with a .22 caliber pistol. In a matter of minutes, he unleashed a hail of bullets upon his fellow students. Tragically, 3 students lost their lives in this senseless act of violence, and 3 more were wounded. The aftermath of the Chardon High School shooting sent shockwaves through the community and the nation. Law enforcement agencies immediately launched a thorough investigation. T.J. Lane was apprehended shortly after the shooting, and what authorities discovered about his motives was deeply disturbing. Lane's motive for the shooting was rooted in a disturbing blend of anger, resentment, and a desire for notoriety. In court, he wore a T-shirt with the word "killers" written
Satan pulled the trigger that killed your son, now masturbates to memory
on it, a shocking display of his utter lack of remorse. His actions left many wondering how such a tragedy could occur in a seemingly peaceful town. The trial of T.J. Lane was highly publicized, and it was a painful process for the victims' families and the community. In March 2013, he pleaded guilty to 3 counts of aggravated murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. It was a small measure of closure for the grieving families. After a manhunt led by local law enforcement, Ricky Hand was apprehended and charged with multiple counts of armed robbery
You just give me 40 years.
and assault. His trial captivated the town as prosecutors presented evidence of the harrowing bank robbery and the terror it inflicted on innocent bank employees. As the trial reached a critical moment, something utterly unexpected occurred. Ricky Hand, known for his stoic demeanor throughout the proceedings, suddenly had a courtroom outburst that left everyone stunned. He threw human excrement over his attorney and courthouse officers. His emotional outburst, caught on camera, became a pivotal moment in the case. Courtroom outburst raised questions about Ricky Hand's mental state and the circumstances that led to the robbery. It also introduced an element of unpredictability to the trial, leaving both the prosecution and the defense scrambling to respond. After a lengthy trial filled with twists and turns, the jury reached a verdict. Ricky Hand was found guilty of armed robbery.